What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American Politics, back in with a new video. Today, we are traveling to the Silver State to discuss another Poll Watch video. That is right, folks, the most popular series on this channel, Poll Watch, is back, this time in the great state of Nevada, or as some call it, the Silver State. Now, before we get into today's Poll Watch, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, and yes. Also, follow that mysterious Twitter account in the description down below, and also join the channel. That is right, folks, for just 10 cents a day, you can join Real American Politics. Again, just click that join button down below. It's a big, fat, beautiful join button. Click it, and you can join Real American Politics just for 10 cents a day. 10 cents a day. And, yeah. Alright, folks, enough promotion stuff. Let's get into today's Poll Watch. The great state of Nevada has two critical races. One at the gubernatorial level, and one at the senatorial level. Now, we're going to be discussing both today, alright? Usually we discuss just, one race, but it's kind of good to discuss both of them. So, let's get this disclaimer out of the way right off the bat. Yes, Nevada tends to favor Republicans in polling. What does that mean? Go back to 2016, 2018, lesser extent 2020. Republicans tend to underperform the polling by around a point or so. Alright, that's just a fact. Now, people are going to say, well, 2018, Democrats overperformed polling by 5 or 6. And my answer to that is yeah, once. That was the only time that there is such a big miss in favor of the Democrats. The other times, it's slightly oversampled Republicans. But even then, you account for everything, Republicans are still winning both these races according to the polls. And I know, again, polling in the state of Nevada tends to oversample Republicans. It's one of the only states that kind of does that outside of maybe Georgia. But point is, either way, you do some basic math, Republicans would still be leading when you count for the average margin of error in the past. So, let's get into it. So, we're going to be mostly discussing the Trafalgar Poll in the big data poll, alright? We're not going to really be discussing, Insider Advantage or the Emerson poll, but even them have Laxalt winning this race by a couple points. So let's get into Trafalgar, alright? So they released a poll just a couple days ago, and well, Adam Laxalt is winning by 4 points. So even if you had, a 3-point miss in the favor of the Democrats, Laxalt would still be winning this poll. And as for the governor's race, Lombardo is winning by around 3 points. So again, the average margin of error, let's say it's 3. It's more like 1. But let's say it's 3. And well, this race is tied. So even then, Republicans are leading both of the races according to the average margin of error in the past couple cycles. Even if we use the most extreme examples, Republicans are looking pretty good for both of these races. And you look at the age participation, the ethnicity, etc. It's about what you would expect, in Nevada. Hispanics, 17%, Asians are a big voting bloc in the state, etc. It's a pretty reasonable demographic. Not wonky like we've seen some other Trafalgar polls like Vermont, why? But either way, this is kind of that for Trafalgar. Both of the races appear to be leaning towards the Republicans. But the the poll we should really be looking at is Big Data's poll in the great state of Nevada. And finally, people are taking Richard Barris seriously. I mean, for the first time ever, Big Data poll is actually on the wiki for this race. Go look it up yourself. It was right there. That's probably the first time I've ever seen Big Data poll in Wiki. It's usually not because they think, he's a fake pollster and all that crap. Well, it turns out he's a pretty solid pollster, right? He's one of the best, if not the best in the country, and he's finally getting the respect that he deserves. So let's actually start with most important issue, because this was a fascinating one to me. All right, let's go by age. This really shows you what matters to voters in the state of Nevada. And you know how Nevada traditionally is one of the more pro-choice country or states in the country? Well, look at this. Only 13% of the electorate, all right, thinks abortion is the number one issue. And look at this. Only 11% of the young vote thinks abortion is the number one issue. You know what that means? The voters that are thinking abortion's the number one issue, they're more likely going to be more pro-life. And you go by party, and you look at this. Abortion, 30% of Democrats say abortion's the number one issue. From other states, that's kind of lower than expected, considering this is, Nevada, that's one of the most pro-choice states in the country, and only 8.5% of independents, think abortion's the number one issue. So it's kind of fascinating to me that, even in Nevada, one of the most pro-choice states in the country, they can't even get, 14%. And look what the number one and number two issues are in Nevada. Cost of living and the economy. These are the biggest issues for voters. And even the young vote, over 20 or 35% of them said either the economy or cost of living. And look at this. This is fascinating to me. So cost of living, the 18 to 29 vote is actually below the state. But the economy and jobs issue, they're actually above average. Makes you really think that, while some of these younger voters, they're not getting that hit hard with inflation, the fact they can't find a good paying job when they get out of college, the economy is crap, that's their main issue. So even if you talked about just the economy and not so much cost of living, there is a big chunk of this young vote that appears to, be worried about it. And you can look at the rest of the issues. I mean, immigration, 9.5%. Even election integrity, 6%. Gun rights, 5.5%. Though this is more so the young vote, which makes me wonder that you look at, I wonder if you go by party, what it would look like. Let's see. Oh, actually, it's mostly Republicans. So that's fascinating. That the fact of the matter is a good chunk of the gun rights vote is younger, but appears to be more Republican. So that's interesting, right? Healthcare, obviously, Democrats, that's going to be a big issue for. The environment, crime is actually not that high. Now, that's not a surprise because, unironically, crime in Nevada hasn't been as bad as it has been in other states, like Illinois, Chicago's in Illinois, obviously, Pennsylvania, Michigan, New York, etc. So the biggest issues for the state of Nevada is like immigration, the economy, and inflation. And that's exactly what Laxalt and Lombardo are running on. Not so much the law and order message because most voters, it doesn't really matter to them in Nevada because, Nevada doesn't really have a crime problem compared to other states. So let's get to the governor's preference. Lombardo's winning this race by 1.5 according to this poll. As for the Senate race, Laxalt's winning by around 2 points. So Laxalt, based on every poll we've seen, is running about a point or so above Lombardo. Now, the thing with Lombardo's margin is it's probably going to increase. Why? Look at the libertarian vote share. This is the thing about libertarians. They always underperform polling by around a couple points. And those voters tend to vote towards the Republicans. They tend to. Sometimes it doesn't. But look at this. A big chunk of their vote is Republican voters. So there is more than likely going to be a share of this libertarian vote claiming to vote libertarian, decide to vote Lombardo at the last second because, they actually know, this libertarian guy doesn't have a chance. Now, the one thing about this poll that people just lost their shit on was by region. Look at the Senate race. With Show County, that's where Reno is. Democrats are winning this race by around 8 at the Senate race. But look at Clark County. This is Las Vegas. This race is essentially tied there. Now again, there's a lot of undecideds in Clark, and it's more than likely going to vote Democrat, both at the Senate level and the governor's level. And this is fascinating to me, that Laxalt's actually overperforming Lombardo and Clark, while Lombardo's overperforming Laxalt and Washoe. You would think it would be the opposite, since, you know, Clark is Lombardo's county. As Washoe, that's kind of random to me, that Laxalt's doing worse in Washoe than Lombardo. But I guess it's possible, just you would think that the sheriff of Clark County would be doing better in Clark. But that's not what's really happening here. Now by race. This is another big thing. Republicans are winning the Hispanic vote, both at the Senate level and the governor's level. Now, a big vote share in the state of Nevada is Asians, and Laxalt's tied with them. As for Lombardo, he's winning them. So that does explain why he's doing so good in Reno. Obviously, Reno has a big Asian vote share. So with all that in mind, Republicans look pretty solid to win this race by quite a bit. Because you go by education, right? And a lot of the undecided voters are those without college degrees. They're ones that, you know, really are not that quote-unquote educated. Even though, you know, it's more like indoctrinated. But either way, point is, Lombardo's not going to lose the high score or less vote. He's going to win the remaining undecideds. He's probably going to win the remaining some/associates. As for the rest, he's more than likely going to lose those undecideds. Same thing with Laxalt. He's going to win these two groups, the some/less, you know, educated voters, while, you know, Mastro is going to win the more educated people, quote-unquote indoctrinated. The point is, it looks very good for Laxalt and Lombardo to win. And you go by biggest issue, all right? You go by Senate race. What's undecided? Let's see here. The remaining undecided votes. Basically, every single one of them, more than half, no, 60% of the undecided vote, right here. And let me just, hold on. Let me just turn off this, all right? There, all right? This should make it better so you can see better. Let me just do that. And there we go. Look at this. Actually, that was the wrong thing to do. That was the wrong thing. Sorry, folks. Let me just get rid of these clowns. All right. So you look at this. Over half of remaining undecided voters are economic voters. That means their biggest issue is the economy and cost of living. You see why these voters are going to go vote Republican? Because these issues favor Republicans. So with all that in mind, folks, it's looking more and more likely by the day we're going to have Senator Laxalt and Governor Lombardo. Anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, and yes, of course, go follow that mysterious Twitter account in the description down below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Godspeed to all of you.